What movie scene was so cringeworthy it physically hurt you that was supposed to be serious? I watched a medical K-drama. They had this boy on the roof going to jump, and 50 doctors, nurses, surgeons came rushing to the rooftop to get that boy. They just stood there behind him, all 50 of them. None of their other patients were as important though. That one scene in Twilight where Bella was yelling at Jacob for nicknaming Renesmee Nessie. You nicknamed my daughter after the Loch Ness monster. That one scene in Twilight. Honestly, like, all of the scenes in all of the Twilight movies, the books weren't any better. When Marky Mark picks up a cold Bud Light right off the floor and chugs it in the middle of a fight in the Transformer movie. And I just carry around the Romeo and Juliet clause in my wallet. Everything in 5 Feet Apart, but especially the part where Cole Sprouse says he's gonna die and just walks away into the snow. I was absolutely delirious with sleep deprivation when I watched the movie, and even then it didn't make sense. Great movie for a plane ride, but nothing else. The scene in Ready Player One where the protagonists meet in person and she's like, "Nuiru, don't look at me. I'm hideous because of this weirdly photogenic birthmark," and he puts his hand under her chin and is like, "Don't worry, baby. I think you're hot anyway." And then it's true love. 3. I love how in the book he looks kinda overweight and in the movie he's basically Markiplier. I remember when I was a kid and the original Spider-Man movies came out, we loved them. I remember crying so hard when Uncle Ben died in the first movie, but then in later years Tobey Maguire's crying face became a meme. And now when I rewatch the movie I feel sad when Uncle Ben dies, but I also immediately laugh when it shows Peter crying. So I kinda cringe whenever that happens now. On a positive note, me and my friend went to go see the third movie like 5 times and the last few times the theater was empty, so we just laughed until we cried at all the scenes where he is crying. It's just so funny now, but I don't want it to be. Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man trilogy was unequivocally the best Spider-Man so far. Change my mind. The scene in the show Riverdale where the main character, Archie, is surrounded by a bunch of shirtless men in red hoods and they make a video trying to intimidate the Black Hood from killing more people. I forgot that Archie was supposed to be the main character. The scene in Revenge of the Nerds where the main character impresses a girl in the computer lab by making a fully animated drawing of himself and her with like 15 seconds of typing on the keyboard. Baffles me how anybody would think that's remotely possible, even in the 1980s when computers were still a mystery to the general public. Now, if 2 people were using the same keyboard, then I'd buy it. When Talia al Ghul died in The Dark Knight Rises, I know it has been talked about a lot and even she didn't like the scene, but dang was it bad. All of the Death Note movie, but especially when Light meets Ryuk and he screams and jumps backwards because he's afraid. I laughed so hard. That movie was so funny, in a bad way obvs, like that scene with the guy gets decapitated by a ladder, lol WTF. The entire plot of Justice League. It was basically, we need Superman cause we can't win without him, should have just been called Superman and Friends. The first scene where Sofia Coppola's character talks to Andy Garcia's character in The Godfather Part 3 and it slowly dawns on you that she has the hots for her older cousin. It doesn't help at all Sofia Coppola's acting during this movie was unbearably wooden. People keep mentioning Attack of the Cloners in this thread, but I tell you, Hayden Christensen was practically emotive compared to her. Does the entirety of the movie Cats count? Watching Cats is like stumbling upon an unholy and heretofore unknown genre of pee. Every time these frisky fur demons tongue a milk bowl and start moaning, I was certain the FBI would raid the theater. Learning that Albus and Aberforth had a secret brother, at that point I was like, welp, we're going down that fricking rabbit hole. Edward Cullen showing his glittery chest. This is the skin of a killer. Bella, me, yikes. Peas. I actually enjoyed the first Twilight movie. It's innocent fun to me and nowhere near deserving of all the hate it got. But that scene. There's no saving that scene. This is the skin of a killer. Bella. Yeah, cause that skin is slaying. The Fault in Our Stars when the 2 characters kiss in the Anne Frank Museum and everyone claps. Christ, I wanted to jump out of the window. That was the fault part. Red Sonja. Bridget Nielsen is weeping over her dead sister, turns her face up to look at Arnold's character, Mary Ataire, and asks him a question as if she was asking for directions on the street, then a minute later goes back to weeping. Good looking lady, awful actress. The whole movie kinda blew, but, you're killing Martha, why did you say that name? They sort it out and minutes later, realize that they're on the same side because both of their moms are named Martha. I love Deadpool's reference where he said he was about to kill someone but then found out their mothers had the same name. In Rise of Skywalker where Palpatine is imploring his bleachers full of Sith cultist followers, or whatever, to basically give him a dark side fist pump to help assure his supremacy. This from the guy who'd kinda, sorta, see comments, followed the whole rule of two thing forever? Who are these fans of his? What do they do other than cheerlead for Papa Pal Pie? Better minions, better pizza, Papa Pal Pie. Star Wars, Attack of the Clones. That moment on Naboo where Anakin's just talking about how he hates sand and then kisses Padme. Just, why? Reading all these replies just reminded me that I don't watch enough popular shows to know what anyone here is talking about. Consider this list a list of shows you're probably better off not watching. I'm a girl but that scene in Endgame where all the female characters in Avengers gather in one shot was so forced it made me cringe. Had any of them ever even talked to each other before? Especially because of the she's not alone scene in Infinity War was so good. It seems like a Disney Marvel exec saw it and thought in the next one we should just have everybody. Every scene in any 50 Shades of Grey film, any line of dialogue or shot of Dakota Johnson or Jamie Dornan was so tragically bad it hurt. In Minority Report, the scene where Tom Cruise eats rotten food, there was absolutely no reason for it. It didn't move the plot along, it was physically nausea-inducing, and it was just very out of place. Lots of groans in the theater. Given the importance of eating and drinking after the operation, and him not due to grabbing the wrong items, for me it made his next challenges seem even more difficult. But it's one of the very few scenes I remember from the movie because it was so gross. I remembered Titanic as being a great movie. I was young and stupid. I rewatched it the other day and it was pretty freaking bad. In particular, the scene where he's handcuffed to her pipe and she's trying to swing an axe to cut the chain. They say each other's names worry too much to the point that once you notice it, you can never unhear it. Swing the axe, Rose. Okay, Jack. Now hit the same mark, Rose. I'm trying, Jack. Very good, Rose. Any show or movie where they constantly say the other person's name drives me crazy. It's completely unnecessary. Prisoner of Azkaban when Harry is saying he will kill Sirius Black. It was the least convincing anger I have ever seen. Don't get me wrong, Daniel Radcliffe is a fantastic actor now, but god, that scene made me cringe. The entire movie 47 meters down. It tries to be a sort of horror movie centered around diving, but it gets so much wrong about the actual diving physics that it hurts to watch. The Reylo kiss and TROS. I know some people ship them and that's cool, but to me it felt like the movie had just hit the viewer over the head with the lightsaber symbolism that Rey and Ben were like the new Skywalker siblings, only to have them kiss moments later. Which, now that I think about it, is actually still pretty faithful to the dynamic of Luke and Leia LMAO. Add on to that the thematic dissonance of what the last film had set up and the moment just really irked me. The whole movie irked me, but I had a visceral reaction to that kiss. The movie Lucy with Scarlett Johansson where she goes on a wheelie computer chair back to dinosaur times and then gets turned into a USB memory stick. My wife and I disagree about that film. She loved it. I hated it because of that ending. I would have been much happier if the movie ended with a close-up of her eye, panning out, and showing her convulsing on the floor in the airport security room. It would immediately close all those gaping plot holes. A Walk to Remember. Boy finds out Mandy Moore has cancer, so he runs to his estranged father's house to cry for help. Dad says, "But son, I'm a cardiologist." The whole cinema was crying and my sister and I burst into laughter. Avengers Endgame all-female scene. I know what they were going for, but Jesus Christ, could they at least have made it less obvious and less contrivingly stupid when they're in a battle for all life in the galaxy? Anything they made poor Megan Fox do the first Transformers movie, especially the slow pan miniskirt shot of her fixing the car. She deserved better than that, and so did the movie. Also, smart and driven young Andy begs her boyfriend's forgiveness for not being at his beck and call while she was building her career in Devil Wears Prada. I always watch right up to that last scene, and skip it. Seth MacFarlane trying to act in season 1 of The Orville. He is a great voice actor, but using the rest of his body to convey emotion he is just wooden. And it was painful to watch, but the rest of the cast are all first rate, experienced actors, and it looks like Seth got some acting lessons in prep for season 2. I like the show because I give it an A for effort in the genre and how he's connecting all of these folks that worked on all the Star Treks, actors, writes and EPs. I kind of liked his wooden acting in the first season. It made him jarring in most scenes. He was still a man trying to get back on the horse, and it showed. Plus, it reminds me of TNG when the cast weren't quite with it yet. First season of a Trek show is never the best. Tall girl. The fact that she is 6 feet 1 inches and is acting like it's the end of the world is absurd. If she was 7 feet then I would get it. But there are plenty of girls who are that height or taller who live perfectly normal lives. I think she does this because everyone at her school is like 3 feet tall for some reason. Cujo, 1983 movie. They didn't use green screen and obviously they wasn't going to really infect a dog with rabies. If you are familiar with dogs, it was so obvious the pooch in the movie was happy and responding to off-camera cues, without the scary movie soundtrack, and even with it. And it was like watching the happiest dog in the world, running around with red eye on his snout, tail wagging, friendly look on his face, cringy but kind of funny too. Watching the actresses in the film pretending to be terrified of this friendly benevolent dog was comparable to watching the color bunny scene at Monty Python's Holy Grail. The Martian. Kinda breaking the rule on this one, but the disco jokes. You're telling me that only one person brought music with them, on a mission that's going to last over a year. Lewis brought disco, Johansson brought the Beatles, Vogel brought stuff in German, Beck brought medical journals, and Martinez didn't bring anything. Still weird that Watney didn't bring his own entertainment. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.